Let's go to football here in town, and not so good and even worse. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So San Diego State, Idaho State. I was at the game at Snapdragon Stadium. I'll tell you what a great stadium that is, and really love the amenities, the concessions, the sight lines, the video boards. But boy, the product on the field, I was frustrated, but they came away with the win.
I don't know how you struggle against a team that was 2-20 over 2 years. I mean, Idaho State, granted, I got to believe that coach, Cody Hawkins, they're going to win games in the Big Sky Conference because somehow, some way, he found a lot of speed that he recruited to a program that had gone 1-10, 1-10. He had kids, and his offense was fast, and they made things happen. They got a little bit overwhelmed by the pass rush, and then the quarterbacks took some sacks, and they turned it over. 3 interceptions along the way. But they scared the bejabbers out of the Aztecs. I mean, stunning thing to me, and I happen to like San Diego State's roster and package and coaches. They needed an onside kick to guarantee they wouldn't lose to a 1AA team from the Big Sky Conference.
Yeah.
How is that possible? And the defense kept giving up big plays. This is a defense that lives off their pass rush and lives off turnovers, and they kept giving up big plays. How do you give up 380 yards to a 2-20 football team? But they did to Idaho State. I don't know if Jalen Maiden had trouble with a weird defense because he looked like he took a step back. He only threw for 87 yards. Now, granted, they ran him, and he ran for a school record. I don't know, it was 113, whatever it was. Hell, maybe we just go to single wing football. The hell of the passing game. If you can't protect him and he can't be accurate, just run the single wing. 14 penalties for 136 yards.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? 136 yards in penalties, only 87 yards passing. I don't think you ever see that in modern day football. And I think the other thing really bothered me. You like the stadium. I think it's kind of cool. Less than 16,000.
Yeah.
And they still got 8,000 tickets for this weekend's big game with UCLA. I mean, the community seems just up in arms. We're not paying those prices regardless. I mean, John went to the bookstore, and he wanted to buy a jersey, and he wanted to buy the historical book of 110 years of Aztec football, and he had his dogs in brew, but that was an expensive Saturday night. But anyhow, your thoughts on Aztecs?
It was a very frustrating game. And like you say, the defense could never make the stop. And the run game was, well, with the exception of Maiden, was just kind of spotty. And this whole time you're just like, why is this so hard? And then Jalen Maiden, we've talked about how he is as a quarterback, and he can look shaky and a little bit off, but he'll pull the rabbit out of his hat. And next thing you know, he's running for 2 touchdowns for long scores. Now, the Aztec defense had a lot of interceptions. That was nice to see. But this should have been a blowout. I mean, there was only a 6-point difference at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 1 touchdown, 1 score, and they had onside kick to make sure the Bengals didn't get the ball back.
Yeah.
It just really strange. They got to make a huge jump in intensity and consistency because here comes UCLA. Now, the other story, and this is really bad, this is the University of San Diego. This is 1AA football, have had a good program. They have gone through this terrible scandal at USD, John, with a hazing incident. Last week, opening game of the season, no coaches press conference, no football media day, no press release advancing the game, no roster. They go to Cal Poly. They get beat 27-10. They don't make the coach available after the game. The media has to sort out where are these 7 starters and the 5 backups not suited up and not playing. Obviously, they got disciplined. The lack of transparency at USD in terms of dealing with this crisis, I think, is deplorable because the public has a right to know and a need to know, and the media is the conduit for that information. President of the school, you can't sweep this under the rug. Now, there was hazing. They shut the camp down in preseason for 6 days. They refused to list any names, etc. But you don't promote your product and you don't make your coach available. And by the way, we're doing our job. You have to answer questions about this situation, who and why and how you dealt with it. And they didn't do any of that. And all USD's people needed to do was go back to opening day last season across the hills at San Diego State. And what happened in the Matt Ariza situation
Right.
when that coach and that athletic director got up and walked out of the media press conference with 9 TV cameras rolling? It became the lead story everywhere. San Diego State really mishandled the Matt Ariza situation. USD has mishandled this. There's no call for this because you got a whole football season to play. You mean to tell me you're not going to send out any press releases? You mean to tell me you're not going to make the coach or the players available to the media, just doing their job covering the team? Hey, if you want to have closed scrimmages for your 12 alums that care about the program, I guess that's okay. But I was really, really bothered by that approach because they got a job to do and we have a job to do. And the story is not going to go away.
Yeah, that's not good. I mean, because it's one thing, there's the crime, but sometimes the cover up is worse than the crime. And here, this is when they have to be as transparent as possible. Sunshine is the best disinfectant. And for them to come clean and say what they're doing, and granted, I'm sure there's still a few moving parts going on in their disciplinary process, but they just need to say that because it doesn't look good for the university at all. So this is a shame to hear. I mean, not only the hazing, but the way the university's handling it.
And this is the same university, Catholic school on the Hill, that had a basketball scandal with their all-time leading scorer, shaving points. Now, he got eradicated from the program and all of his records were taken out of the record book, but at least they were open to discuss what they could discuss. And I understand there are limitations as to what you can say. There are explanations that are due this community and due to those alumni and due to the media and due to the sports fans here. Okay, from that